Is it everything is in the gut or everything is in the guts, plural?
In my book, I say it's the shocking awareness that sex starts in the gut. And the gut is the mothership. And the gut has a lot of different parts. And I'm talking about the gut wall, which is supposed to protect you from things that shouldn't cross. The gut is your outside of the world in the middle of you.
Right.
And some things should get into your bloodstream and some things shouldn't. But Harvard, in 2013, these really cool researchers at Harvard were able to show that the microbiome that lives inside the gut, which is a teeming, kind of like another organ that lives in us and then is supposed to take care of us for the right to live in us. And it's made of microbial teeming life of bacteria, fungus, and viruses. And it is a grouping of huge material that has broad influence on our health. They have receptors, little satellite dishes in the shape of little proteins in the shape of satellite dishes that take hormone signals, and there is a lifelong from puberty crosstalk between your gut flora and your gut wall and hormones in your bloodstream that go back and forth to keep your hormones working healthfully. So you could go to your doctor and get your hormones tested, and they say they're fine. And you say, I don't feel that well. And they say, your hormones are fine. You say, I don't feel that well. It could be that there's all these subterranean levels of issues that affect your hormone health. One of them is your gut health. So if you've been on a lot of antibiotics, you eat a lot of sugar, you eat a lot of junk food, you drink excess alcohol, you make life choices that make you have an unhealthier microbiome, the crosstalk with your hormones, especially testosterone, can be really poor. So now you've got one-way dominant conversations or silent dead conversations, and your hormones, which look normal in any assessment, blood, saliva, urine spot, they look fine on the test, but they're not really able functionally to crosstalk with your gut, and that could be one of the contributing factors. In fact, unwell gut health is now a major, but only in docs and people that understand this, it's a major contributor to poor hormone health. And part of getting your hormones working better, so part of getting a young person's libido improved, is assessing their digestive function, their gut function, and working along with that. And the most important thing that your hormones run, and I love to speak of this, it's one of my favorite anatomical parts, is in your brain, there is this magical little tiny area called the hippocampus. And it's really your physical analogy of your soul. And it's where you have your memories, you make new memories and remember your old, and your motivation and your sense of who you really are. And it's so important to nature that it's got the highest blood supply of any tissue in your whole body, and it's got the highest organelles for energy, mitochondria, of any tissue in your body. So nature said, tissue-wise, this is the top of the heap. And it's completely lined with proteins in the shape of receptors that take messages from estrogen, testosterone, oxytocin. When you're younger, you even make testosterone right there in your hippocampus. You have as many receptors for testosterone as the male prostate has. And when you get cognitive diseases like Alzheimer's, Lewy body dementia, just call it cognitive decline, it's now known as hippocampal shrinkage because that's where you are you. And those cells shrink, and your life expression of that is frailty. You think of things, you can't do it. You feel more insecure of yourself. You can't remember stuff. You're overwhelmed. This is how people get when they're older because their hippocampus is shrinking. And at McGill University in 2008, I love this literature, they now can take functional MRIs of the volume of the hippocampus, and they would see in older people it shrunk. Aging is shrinking. And they would give women injections of estrogen and men injections of testosterone, and they would revolumize it like that scene of Goldie Hawn in First Wives Clubs where she's sitting in front of Carl Reiner with her lips, and she wants a filler of her lips, and she goes, fill them up. And hormones fill up the hippocampus, and you could reverse that shrinkage, and you can make somebody younger. And these people who had frailty then became stronger. And making love releases hormones. Nature intended for, or even hugging, bonding, kissing, even your kids, doesn't have to be with the mate. Connection releases hormones that feed your hippocampus. The more connection you have, the more you stay you. But I didn't know that making love was like a low-carb, paleo-friendly, multivitamin, mineral, bioidentical hormone mixture, and all levels, all swaths of connection, from just hanging out with your best friend to hugging with your friend or your lover to the bedroom. All of those have different levels of releasing hormones that feed the hippocampus. So I was like, oh my God, this is like really amazing information that people don't understand about. And we become less connected. Our kids are more connected to the IT phone in front of them.
According to Dr. Lindsay Berkson, what's the difference between sex and making love?
Making love, I call it awakened sex. So, see, now we have functional MRIs, and we can go inside the brain of men and women while they're making sex, if they're heterosexual, homosexual, solo, this and that. We can take a look around. And based on that, they have found that when you make love with somebody that you respect, feel safe with, you have a regular interaction with, more areas of your brain light up so that making love becomes a cranial gymnasium. Most people think if they meet the right person, everything will fall in place perfectly because they met the right person. But you couldn't sit down in front of a piano and just wish yourself into being a virtuoso pianist. You couldn't do it. You'd have to get educated and practice. And what we learned from Sweden, and we're learning from a lot of other science-based literature, is that very few people are born with knowing how to be really great lovers, even with the right person. So in Sexy Brain, I give, it's really exciting, I give some unpublished data from Dr. Michael E. Baker from University of California in San Diego, and he's been studying how estrogen and testosterone have been signaling with each other for hundreds of thousands of years.
Really?
And when I looked at the science of that and went from there to how hormones signal and receptors, and I moved it up and up and up the chemistry chain into your bedroom, I saw how men and women, based in science, are hardwired. And I came up with the theory of the hormone language of love to make it less frustrating and more successful, and to translate that into awakened love. How do you really please a woman based on the way she's been signaling for hundreds of thousands of years? And no one's ever done this before. I put this together. It was something that spoke to me when I was writing this book. I had no idea when I started writing this book it would come out, but it's very, very fascinating how men and women need each other, or the masculine and the feminine element. So it doesn't have to be a man and a woman, but it can be same-sex people, but with that polarized energetic. But it's very real. And so I give the exact steps to be a really, really great lover.